When a truck driver separated from his wife, she gained custody of their young child. They moved away, and because of the pressure of his job, he could only see their daughter every few months. Whenever he visited, he took her a present. One weekend he made the long journey, only to be told at the door by his daughter that she never wanted to see him again. This episode put him into hospital, and he has never really recovered. What had happened to the girl? The answer is parental alienation syndrome, or the process by which one parent, usually the mother, turns a child against the other parent in disputes regarding custody or access. Parental alienation syndrome is the scourge of custody and access disputes and can affect families from any walk of life. Actors Alec Baldwin and his ex-wife Kim Basinger were involved in an ongoing custody dispute over their daughter called Ireland. They separated in 2000 after 7 years of marriage and divorced in 2002. Basinger cited irreconcilable differences with her husband in the divorce petition. The divorce petition said she sought physical custody of Ireland, but the two would share joint legal custody and Baldwin would have visiting rights. Baldwin had sought an equal share of parenting of daughter Ireland with Basinger. He lives in Los Angeles while she resides in New York. In court papers, Baldwin said Basinger had a pathological need to turn their daughter against him and requested she undergo a psychological evaluation. Basinger's lawyers meanwhile said he had severe emotional problems and was casting terrible aspersions. Baldwin's lawyer said Miss Basinger has so contaminated this child now that she doesn't even want to be with her own father. Outside court, however, Basinger's lawyer said his client's ex-husband was ignoring the main issue, which is his daughter, by questioning the actress's mental health. The American Psychological Association has published guidelines for child custody evaluations in divorce proceedings, which refer to 3 books by Dr. Gardner, one devoted to parental alienation syndrome and 2 that make significant reference to the disorder. Gardner recognized the following symptoms, which in a cluster prompted him to consider them as a syndrome. 1. The child is aligned with the alienating parent in a campaign of denigration against the target parent, with the child making active contributions. 2. Rationalizations for deprecating the target parent are often weak, frivolous, or absurd. 3. Animosity towards the rejected parent lacks the ambivalence normal of human relationships. 4. The child asserts that the decision to reject the target parent is his or her own, what Gardner calls the independent thinker phenomenon. 5. The child reflexively supports the parent with whom he or she is aligned. 6. The child expresses guiltless disregard for the feelings of the target or hated parent. 7. Borrowed scenarios are present, i.e. the child's statements reflect themes and terminology of the alienating parent. 8. Animosity is spread to the extended family and others associated with the hated parent. In the UK, a High Court judge, Mr. Justice Wall, described how he had dealt with symptoms of parental alienation syndrome by taking the children away from the mother. I have done it in 1 or 2 cases, but that requires a very delicate process. What is very interesting, I have found in the cases where I've done it, is how rapidly the alienation seems to disappear. A child who a few weeks before had been saying, "My father is a rapist and a kidnapper, and I am frightened of him out of my wits. I don't ever want to see him. I'm so frightened of him." In a month or so, that child is happily living with his father. With very skilled therapeutic intervention, I have to say, it doesn't happen just like that. However, in the UK, the condition is not legally recognised. Categories of abuse for registration under the Children's Act defines emotional abuse as actual or likely severe adverse effect on the emotional and behavioural development of a child caused by persistent or severe emotional ill-treatment or rejection. This does not mean that help is not available in the UK. There are an increasing number of experts in this area. One of the pioneers is Dr. Lowenstein at Southern Psychological Services, based in the Hampshire countryside. His publications include difficulties in treating parents and children who have been involved in the parental alienation process, assessing and treatment of parental alienation, and the type of remedial and therapeutic methods required in parental alienation. Unfortunately for fathers and their children, the Baroness Heyman, speaking on behalf of the Department of Health, described parental alienation syndrome in the following way. Most practitioners would consider denigration of one parent by the other to be emotionally abusive, but if the child was otherwise well cared for, the court may feel that it is the child's best interest to remain with a denigrating parent, leaving the denigrated parent understandably aggrieved. Whilst parental alienation syndrome remains unrecognized in the UK, this form of emotional abuse is anathema or solemn curse on family proceedings.